I'm Billy Marshall, and today I'm going to be talking you through my storyboard for what I'm calling Power, the short film that I'll be aiming to create for the end of this semester. So, there are a few things I want to get out of the way to start off with. There are some abbreviations used throughout the storyboard on the note sections, so I'd just like to clarify that FPPOV means first person point of view, which is obviously the camera from the first person, as well as HUD. HUD stands for a heads up display, which is something in like games such as Halo or something that I'll be trying to implement into this piece. For the first scene here we can see a Windows command prompt-esque startup sequence that I will create in After Effects. This is going to be used for the robot waking up. Essentially it's going to look like something from your Windows computer with a load of dialogue saying something like startup sequence initiated, running so and so task, and then we'll be greeted by the second scene. In the second scene, we can find the robot waking up in its surroundings. I intend for it to be like a kind of run down, sort of overgrown back alley sort of area where the robot is going to look around with its heads up display on. That will be active throughout the whole film in a first person perspective, and it's going to look around, check out its hands, and then try to figure out what's going on. In the third scene, we're going to see a big danger triangle pop up on the heads up display for the robot in the third scene as it's trying to mantle itself to stand up. So it'll be looking down, pushing itself up, looking at the rest of its body, and then it'll return to a normal looking forward cam. In the fourth scene, the camera is going to start going left to right as the robot starts to trudge down the alley. It's lacking power, that's what the warning message was about. So it's not got a lot of oomph to its step, it's kind of dragging itself along. So it's going to be tilting left to right until it progresses through the hallway. In scene 5, the camera's going to pan up as we're going to hear a noise in the background. The robot's going to look up, which will pan the camera, and we're going to see a small sort of floating companion type thing coming from the sky towards the robot. We pan back down in scene 6 in order to see the companion come face to face with the main protagonist robot. You'll obviously see it from its point of view, and the robot will try and grab it, as we see where arrows indicating the camera coming down and the robot coming down, the robot companion. Come into the seventh scene, there's going to be some spacing created between the robot and the companion. The companion's going to hover up slightly in the air, a bit further away, and then it's going to portray a holographic map coming down in front of the robot. So there's going to be a sense of depth to the scene. After the holographic map section, the robot is going to follow the map directions given by the companion and trudge around a corner until it finds itself into a new area, which is more like ruins than the last area, showing the sort of decaying and destruction of a place. In scene 9, the robot looks left to right, the camera panning with its look direction in order to examine its new areas. It wants to figure out where it is and what it's doing and where is the closest sort of power outlet it can charge itself on as quickly as possible. The robot's view pans back to the center as we see the companion starting to depart in front of us. The robot is trying to follow the companion as fast as possible, but obviously is lacking on power, so it trudges along, eventually losing the companion. As just mentioned in scene 11, the robot's going to trudge forward. It's not going to be a painfully low process. It's still trying to use as much of the power it has available to it in order to find the closest outlet as soon as possible. In scene 12, we hit up another scenery change, and the camera pans to the top left through the robot's eyes to see the companion sat there waiting for it. Again, another warning triangle is going to be displayed, showing that the imminent lack of power is slowly drawing closer. This is where a miracle happens, and the robot's eyes and camera highlight in the hood a power outlet in the distance in scene 13. On to 14, the camera pans in and zooms into the close-up of the power station, but then another warning comes up saying that it hasn't got a lot of time, it needs to make it there now or it's not going to be able to charge itself. The camera then zooms back out and we can see the companion travelling towards the power station. Much like before, it wants the robot to follow it as quickly as possible as it needs its assistance. Scene 16, and the robot's trying to trudge along again like it did before, but this time it's slow and dramatically different. The robot's trying its hardest, but nothing's really happening. It's just teetering side to side because it's running out of power. This is almost it. In scene 17, the camera tilts all the way to the side as the warning message comes up and says power outage. That's it. it's over for the robot. It falls over and collapses onto the scenery. In scene 18, the camera starts to move from the robot in the scene, so the camera will move forward and go and close in on the companion until we get to the companion in a close-up. As the camera gets close to the companion, there'll be a short black cut or a fade, and then we will be seeing the world through the companion's eyes, so we'll see it on the other side, what things look like behind the robot, and it'll create a sort of whole sort of image or a scene. Scene 20, obviously, we'll see the robot collapsed against the side. It tries it might, it didn't get to where it needed to be in time, and that was it. The camera is then going to slowly zoom in from a wide shot of the companion's view into a close-up. In scene 21, we then have the close-up of the robot, and after it's mourned its death sort of thing, the camera's going to pan up as the companion moves. So obviously it's a first person, so the companion's going to move up. And then in scene 22, we're going to get a nice wide shot of the whole ruined cityscape. After that, the robot's going to continue to pan upwards until it reaches the sky, and then it's going to turn into a white fade as it starts to enter a cloud, and that's the end.